And so yes, it's Monday again. As someone said to me earlier today, they were like, what? It's Monday again? So it is. And I'm so excited because I get to do this. And I love being able to do this. I have hairs. It's very staticky in Phoenix today. So I have all my little baby hairs like all over the place. So if you see me doing that, that's what's happening. All right, let's get all of our other things done. See, I just get all excited and then I forget to do all the other things. So welcome everyone. As usual, if you have feedback, questions, anything, pop it in the chat. I would love to interact with you guys in that way. It's always my favorite. And for those of you that are watching on Facebook, I cannot currently see the Facebook comments because I just have one monitor. So if you would like to leave feedback or have more questions or interaction, pop onto the Zoom link, and then that way I'll be able to see what you want to say, which make me very excited. Okay, did all the spots, right? We got the recording, we're live streaming. I do it every week, but somehow there's, you have this fear that you're going to forget something, and not like it hasn't happened before. You all have been here for that. So all right, I am Alicia Sweezer, owner of Who Knew Healing, and it's another installment of Insights with Alicia. And as usual, the reason we get together on Monday evenings is because I was led to start sharing things that I know, things that I learned, things that I help my clients with, downloads that I get from the universe, and I wanted to start to connect with people. For those of you who don't know, I'm an intuitive life coach, animal consultant, psychic, medium, and intuitive mentor, and my passion is helping animals and people. And so thank you all so much for joining in. Hopefully you've got something really good to drink. I have a new iced tea that I'm really excited about. It's what was it? Strawberry, lemon, orange. It's like really good. Because that last one, it's okay, but I didn't like it as much. But I'll probably be drinking a lot because my throat's a little dry. It's, it's Phoenix, but it seems to be dry extra. So hopefully you guys are having a great Monday. All right, what are we going to talk about this week? All right, so question in the chat here. So for this event, because of some other people in the world, some other humans who have chosen to do things on their videos during these, I currently lock down, turn off everyone's video so that we don't see parts of other people that we don't want to see without invitation. So I know that it's frustrating. I would love to be able to see your fabulous faces as well. And I know some of you that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm so thrilled that you are here. But right now there is no video, and the same with the mute because the same thing sort of happened. So that's why we just have the chat. And I wish, because I love the back and forth, and until there is a way to sort of, even with all of the safeguards we have in place, it still happens. Some people still get through. So because we don't want to see that, that's not what this event is about. We had to, turn that part off. So please, though, use the chat box because I would love to be able to interact with you. And for tonight, it was, some of you that have been doing this with me, sometimes I have a subject right away and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this next week. Sometimes it comes to me like the day before. Sometimes it comes to me 15 minutes before we do this. And today's came to me today. So it was kind of interesting. And someone had written on Facebook, like, I can't wait to see what you're going to talk about. And I thought to myself, me either, because at that time I didn't know. I was like, we'll see what shows up. And so what I was led to do is I had written yesterday, I wrote most of the blog for this week. And as that was percolating, as it does, I was led to talk about that this evening as well, because there's some things, some of these subjects that I talk about is like some that can really come across in writing, and some there's just certain parts of it that come across more verbally and in video and that sort of stuff. So that's why I get to do them in two formats. That's what we're going to talk about this week. So the subject for this week is authenticity is the new professional, or is it? Right? Like, what is your opinion? So how this came about was a couple of days ago, I was talking to someone about making videos, right? Doing these events and making the videos. And they had asked me if I had started to make videos because it'd been a while since I saw this person. And I said, yeah, I said, I've been doing this, this event for 2 months and I absolutely love it. And they were like, oh, that's great. And we all know, right, what a big challenge this has been for me. And him and I were sort of just discussing, videos and that sort of thing. And he was asking about YouTube. And I said, well, I do it through Zoom. And, then I upload it to YouTube. And right, because there's so many formats and there's so much software. And, I've been teaching myself all this stuff as we go along. And we were just talking in general terms about lighting and marketing. And it was interesting because he made a comment about if the lighting was different, that you got to really pay attention to the lighting. And if it was different, then it would look more professional, the videos, and some other comments like that. Didn't think anything of it. I was like, no big deal. And so the next day, I was reflecting back on this conversation, right? As we do, right? You go to something where there's people, and then the next day, some of the conversations hang around in your head and they percolate and you think about them. And it dawned on me that this person who had said these things about like, oh, you've got to watch the lighting and you got to do this so that your videos look professional. This person automatically assumed that my videos didn't look professional. And they've never seen my videos. And I was like, that is so interesting. And then I remembered, this is so funny because I remember this part today as I was thinking about this more. Another person had sort of said the same thing. He was in a conversation with him a couple of months ago. He was talking about like, oh, you've got to look so professional in your videos. And with him, he was really talking about the need to keep up the mask, right? The mask of professionalism in his job. And I remember thinking to myself, for him, that means that he doesn't get to be all of himself. And I get it. I used to be that person too. So it was just so interesting to me that two people who had never seen my videos, one automatically assumed that they didn't look professional. And so I thought, okay, was there something about me that makes people think it's not professional? Because most of the time, I'm pretty level-headed, even when a group situation and you're out for the night, that sort of thing. And these two gentlemen are in the same demographic, and some people may read into that as far as the perspectives that they see the world through. I'm not going down that road, but there probably is a thing in there. It was just, like I said, it was so interesting to me. I was like, so they automatically assume. And like I said, I used to be that person where it had to be absolutely perfect, right? It had to be, because we have this mask of what we believe professional is. And I remember when I started this a few years ago, the first class that I was teaching, it was a class on receiving. And I should probably teach that class again because we all have challenges in receiving things. Put that on the list. But I was trying to do this class and it was like the beginning, sort of, like I said, it was my first class of this awakening and my intuitive side. And that part wanted to really be in the flow. And the old part of me was like, no, we need to have a PowerPoint, right? Because that's how you do a class. You have a PowerPoint and you have all these slides. And I kept trying to make this PowerPoint and I kept getting sick every time I would do it. And I was like, I don't understand what's happening, right? Because I was so new to this particular aspect of it. And I was fighting the two parts of me. The old part of me was like, no, you've got to do it in a box and it has to be this way. And then the new awakened part of me was like, no, you're going to be fine. Like you're going to intuitively know where to go and how to facilitate this class and what to say. And so when I finally got through it, there was a couple of slides. So it was like this, not even middle ground, because it wasn't even middle number of slides. It was only a couple of slides. And they were the ones that had like a lot of information on them. There were some lists for people that I wanted them to have. And, a PowerPoint slide works great for those kind of things. So I get it, where I used to have this point of view about what professional is or was. And as I was percolating on this conversation, this is what happened. So now you get a glimpse of what a mindset shift looks like in a growth opportunity, right? So all my clients that I teach this stuff, I'm like, it's in our thoughts, it's in our perspectives, it's in our judgments. This is what it looks like. So I was percolating, and then I did, because I'm a human, have a split second of doubt about what my videos look like. And then I was like, nope, I'm not buying into someone else's assumption. And I like my videos. And for someone who's new at this, I think they look great. Like you guys that have been here since the beginning have seen the changes, right? That have gone on, and how I figured stuff out, and that now I know how to get rid of the glare on my glasses. And, I have really pretty virtual backgrounds now, and all this kind of stuff. And like every other freaking thing in our life, they will grow and they will change. Now, yeah, if I had a bunch of cash, I could buy the fancy lights and I could get all of those kind of things. That's just not where it is right now. And there are people out there making videos walking around, when they take their walk, they're making a video themselves walking around outside, and there's cars honking and all this kind of stuff. And so I started to look at, like I said a little bit before, about the filters that these people see through, that were giving me this feedback. And it's very much 3D. It's right. It's a 3D world. It's corporate. And that's not the world that I live in. And there isn't anything wrong with that world. It just isn't mine. And then I started to think about, because I don't always do this, I do have moments where I go down the rabbit hole, and then I call my fabulous friends and they remind me of things. So this time I caught it myself, where I started to think about the feedback that I have received on my videos, right? My events and this kind of stuff. And it's like, people have said that my videos, my events feel like there's just sitting down and having a conversation with me. And I'm like, fabulous, because that's what I wanted to feel like. I love this intimate connection that I get to have with you guys. And they say that I don't judge anyone, that I don't put myself above anyone. And I love, one, that's true. And I love that comes across. I love that that's how you guys feel when you show up to be in connection with me. And the truth is I came here to be a human, just like everyone else, even though most of the time I don't like it. You all know I hate when I have my human days. And so I love that not only for me does it feel this intimate and connected, exchange that we get to have, and we're learning things and we get, the back and forth, but that it feels that way for you guys as well. And that I get to show up as all of me. All of my personality comes through because it's authentically me. I gave up wearing a mask a long time ago. And the truth is I wouldn't even know how to put it back on if I wanted to. Like, that would actually be a job. Like, it would be homework. Like, I'd have to sit down and think about, like, oh, okay, what would that actually look like? And I've worked really freaking hard to be who I am today. And I've loved my journey, and I love who I am now. So I know there are people who struggle living in two worlds, right? And a lot of times that can happen in the process of our awakening, right? Where like I said, when I was doing my class and I was like, no, it has to be a PowerPoint. That's what you do. And then the other part of me was like, not so much. And the world of having the mask and what people will think, and the world where we truly just get to be ourselves, can sometimes, go to battle with each other, right? And it's that journey, it's that integration that happens of finding ourselves. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the cricket in here is super loud. So I don't know if that's coming across in the Zoom. So it's cricket season in Phoenix. They're not outside. That's not what you're hearing. I have a bunch of them in the house. And of course, one's going to start in the middle of the video because it's crazy loud in here. So if you hear the cricket and it's distracting, I apologize. If that makes this video unprofessional, there's nothing I can do about that, because the cricket wanted to show up also. So, and it's so funny because the old me, like, I know we're live right now, but if I was recording and then just one popped in, right, the old me would have stopped the recording and redone the whole thing. And it's like, we can't have a cricket, we can't have an outside noise. So it's just funny that the universe and the cricket are providing a real-time evidence of what we're talking about tonight. So they're like, let me know that, we're going to just make stuff show up in your video tonight because you're talking about the structure and the really rigid box of what professional is. So when you have these two worlds that are colliding for you, it's just really cracking me up inside my head. I love that this is one of the things that I get to help my clients with, right? Is making that shift to having the integrity and having the confidence to be all of themselves. And dare I say, love themselves. And yeah, some of the people are like, I didn't know the crickets come inside till we moved to Phoenix. Yeah, they do. I don't know why. When I lived in Michigan, they didn't really come in the house. Here all the time. Okay, so my question to everyone is, when you are being authentically you, do you think that you're being unprofessional? And I know when I wrote that earlier, wow, it brought up a lot of energy. I was like, wow, I can feel that a little bit for myself, but like just the energy of the world of, because we have such strict guidelines and beliefs and judgments about what something is supposed to be, and particularly professionalism, right? Because that concept is tied to so many things. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have your own business, right? The old beliefs of, oh, I have to be 100% professional, whatever professional means to you. So that's the secondary question also, is like, what does professional mean to you? Because it means something different to every person. So these two gentlemen that I came in contact with, right, their version, their perspective of professionalism is very different than what mine is. And that's the perspective that they see the world through. So one, what does professional or professionalism mean to you? What does it look like? And when you're being all of you, does that mean that you're not being professional? Or does it mean that you're being even more professional than you would be if you had the mask on? And so it was just so interesting to me, this concept. And I know that that might bring up some things for a lot of people, and it may not feel good. It may not feel comfortable, but I promise you, promise, it's all good stuff. And not just for one's, like an entrepreneur kind of thing, but anyone who's going to start to do something publicly, or anyone who's going to start to do something that's out of their comfort zone that other people may see, right? Because there's a lot of professionalism is based on other people's perception, right? Like the feedback that we get back. And yes, someone in the chat's like, depends on one's definition of professionalism. And that's absolutely true. So there's this place of, the professionalism, like I said, it's tied to our income, possibly. It's tied to what other people are going to think about us. It's tied to what do we think about ourselves. It brings, like, that question brings up so many things. And when you're going to do something out of your comfort zone or that you've never done before, it really, really shows up. Like, there's one person, I know, this amazing woman who has started a super courageous adventure, and I am beyond excited. Like, I have to control my excitement for it because I'm totally fangirling over it. And if and when she's ever ready to publicly show this adventure, like, I will be all over it because I am super excited. And if she doesn't ever, that's fine too. But even for her, like, like I said, what she's doing is immensely courageous and very cool and not easy by any means. And she has done a whole lot of work to choose this next phase of her life. And I have no doubt that she's come up against a lot of judgments from people about so many things, like how is it going to look, and how is she going to take care of herself? And if and when, like I said, she ever starts to do this publicly, there will be people who may have opinions about whether or not her stuff is professional. And I have my private opinions about that, right? Because I do know this person and I care for her, so I get a little protective. I do have an attachment because I am human and I care about my friends. But like we're talking about, it's all in someone's perspective. And when we step out of the box and we choose something, and then we choose to let other people know about it, there's this place of, it's like at that first big hill of the roller coaster, right? All the judgments and the beliefs and the old behaviors. And sometimes we carry on the roller coaster and we go up and down with all this kind of stuff. And it's great because even though the roller coaster doesn't feel good, it brings up all of this old stuff that no longer serves us, right? It brings it to the surface so that we can release it, we can look at it, we can shift it, we can heal it, and we can let it go. And how long and how frequently we get on that roller coaster is different all of the time. And then we remember and we get off the roller coaster, right? And we find that riverboat cruise, right? That ride that's real calm. We get downstream, we just float along the water. We surrender to the universe. It's much easier. You know, I don't always remember. There are times that I end up on the roller coaster, and then I remember that there is a boat, you know, that I could get on if I chose to. So it just, and even part of this concept of what we're talking about tonight is still percolating in my mind, because it's still a work in progress, which is really cool because that means that there's more in here for myself and of course for what I can teach and share with other people. So the other thing is that it's always going to be shifting and changing. Like I know I said that at the beginning, and some of the questions to remember, if you choose to, right, when you're creating your life, is to ask yourself, like, what's your intention? And what are you creating? Who are you creating it for? That's a big one. That is a really big one because so much of our lives have been spent creating our life for someone else or for something else outside of ourselves, right? Any of us that were people pleasers or caretakers or have any codependency or any kind of thing, any kind of trauma that creates that behavior, we don't even realize that we're creating a life, our life, but for someone else. And so that's, I mean, it's one thing that I've worked a ton on for myself. And it is one of the things that I love that I get to help my clients with, is that we get back to that creating from the inside out. We get back to the creating for you authentically, like just for you and all of you. And the question that goes along with that also is, are you creating consciously or are you creating unconsciously? Because the thing is, we're always creating our life. Most of mine was spent unconsciously creating it because we're still making choices. There's still choices that affect our life every single day. And if we're not conscious to them, we're creating them unconsciously. And those unconscious creations are the ones that come from the old behaviors. They're the ones that come from, you know, the judgments and the beliefs that we have that don't serve us. They come from a reactionary place versus a responding place. And the last question of the course is like, why are you creating it? Are you creating something because it brings you joy, or because it's what you're led to do, or are you creating something because it's what you're supposed to do, right? Or that you should do. So to tie it back into the professional part, it's like, if I was going to create something because I wanted to look professional, I guarantee you it's going to go sideways, because professional is a perspective. Professional is a judgment. As we've talked about here, professional means something different for every single person. So if I'm trying, it's like trying to catch air, right? If I'm trying to catch whatever professional is that it means to every person that's watching these videos, I can never make a video that's going to look perfect or professional or anything else to every single person, because we're all different. But as a people pleaser, right, there's an old programming in there. Like when we start something new that we go, oh no, I have, and I still struggle with this. Some of you know that, where it's like, oh no, because I want to help people, I want it to reach every person, right? And I want every person to read the blog or watch the video because I want to give to the world. And when not everybody watches your video or reads your blog or likes your Facebook post, we tend to think, oh, I did it wrong, or I didn't do it good enough, or I need to do it different. And sometimes there are things in there that we need to tweak or whatever, but most often it's like, no, as long as I'm being authentically me, how people read it, whether they read it or they don't read it, that's secondary. And it's one of those things, for those of you that were along for the 30-day journey that I did, like you saw that transformation that happened for me. That was one of the transformation that happened in that process, is really switching from like, no, this is getting really grounded in publicly, right? It's different when you're doing it with your clients and your friends, but grounded in doing it publicly and going, I'm going to stand and be the lighthouse and say what I want to say and be who I am and all of me, regardless of how the world responds to it. And that is not always an easy process, right? And whether the world thinks it's professional or not, or that they think it's a contribution, doesn't matter. This is what I'm led to do. And now I'm publicly doing it. And so the why. So every time I try to create something so that it's right, everything shuts down. I can't write. There's no creativity. And even in my life, when I'm trying to create something, like not even for the business, if I'm trying to manifest something and I catch myself because I'm trying to do it right, I'm trying to get it perfect so that it happens and so that I'll feel safe and all those human things, everything stops. It shuts down because I have just constricted it with a judgment or a belief. And so versus when we go from the inside out of like, you know what, I'm just going to be authentically me. And then that opens the flow. And the creativity comes in and the answers to my questions come in and, the people who are going to be a contribution to me come in. So it's this really cool thing of, when we're doing this, to be mindful and ask yourself these kind of questions so that you're creating from the inside out. You're creating something that is authentic for you and in alignment, not because of an outside belief of whatever. Tonight, we just happen to be talking about professional. And the cool thing is it really lets you see where you are in your process. When you start to ask yourself these questions about like, oh, what am I creating? And where am I creating that from? Oh, am I creating it from trauma and old things, or am I creating it from a new place? And here's the thing, because particularly if you're in sort of the middle of a process of wanting to manifest something, or you're new to it or anything like that, that there's sometimes some confusion in the middle because the thing we want hasn't shown up yet, right? And so we get a little confused and the self-doubt comes in of like, oh, am I doing it right? Am I being professional enough? Am I whatever? Because it hasn't shown up yet. So it's that place of the trust and the faith that we talk about, right? And is a challenge for a lot of us, myself included sometimes, that it's that place where we just breathe into it and we go, no, I don't have to switch back to the old programming, right? Like I don't have to switch back and make a PowerPoint. It's like, nope, PowerPoint isn't a match anymore. Being 100% who I am today is a match for me. But that sometimes in the middle of something, right, in between waiting for the oasis to show up, you're halfway through the desert, it gets a little scary. And so just know that if you ever in that place and there's confusion, or you're like, oh, I just don't know, that's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal. So just keep asking yourself, because if you get the draw to go back and do it the old way, just catch yourself and be like, okay, so what is it about that I'm telling myself? Like, what is it that's drawing me back? Oh, is it a belief that I'm doing it wrong? Is it a belief that it's not professional? Is it a belief that if I don't show up, particularly if you're an entrepreneur, if you don't show up in a certain way, you're not going to get the clients. And the truth is, and, Cato writes in here, she says, more than likely the people who I'm trying to reach, right, with these videos and assist wouldn't respond or resonate to a corporate professional looking video. And that's true, because that's not the world I live in anymore. So thank you so much for that feedback. I really appreciate it. Because this, right, like when I talked about this intimacy and this authenticity and this connection that we get to have here, this is what I live for. This is what fills me up. And the people that are a match for that, right, the people who like that kind of energy, those are the people that I want to have as clients and friends and, in my life. So it's that place of when you catch yourself trying to go backwards, just ask and be like, okay, what is it? What is it about that I'm trying to go back to the old me? Because as we talked about before, may have been last week before, we talked about the comfortable, right? It's like humans will stay in something that's comfortable, even if it's not what they want, because the known comfortable is way more, what's the word I want to, there's so many words that just popped in, is way more, oh, I can't even pick one now. So the known comfortable feels more safe than the unknown. And as humans, like I've said before, we don't like the unknown. We don't like it. We like to see all of the steps And the universe doesn't give us all the steps. The universe just gives us the next step. And so we'll stay in something that we don't want, but because it's comfortable, it's what we know. And so that can happen in this process of when you're trying to manifest or create or do, mine's video things. When you're in the middle of it, that these old things come up. And if you get the draw to go backwards, just pay attention to be like, oh, what is that? What is it that I'm trying to tell myself? Exactly. The hell I know is better than the hell I don't. So that is so true. It's just part of the human condition. It really is. And it's one of those things you all have heard me, talk about being a human and how I don't always like when I have human days. And the ego of the human race, right? The human species of that we always believe that we're the smartest species on the planet. We believe we're the most advanced. And yet there are so many things that we do as a species that don't serve us. And there are other species on this planet that don't do those, but we don't judge them as smart as us or as advanced. And we're just going to take a little side note here because it's my video. I get to. So there are a couple. I think I've had it maybe 1 month or 2 months. There's a National Geographic magazine that came out. Like I said, I don't remember which month it was, but I had to buy it because the whole cover of it was animals, right? In the entire month, I can't think of the word. Like I want to say episode. Clearly, I watch too much TV because magazines don't come out in episodes. So the complete magazine was all about animal intelligence, right? And all of the recent studies over the last like 15, 20 years of that, all of these studies that have gone on and what humans have deemed as animal intelligence, right? And they're finding that there's more species now that are what they call sentient, which means that each individual, right? So like how humans know, like I know I'm Alicia, right? And that I'm not just a human in the group. I know that specifically my consciousness, I'm Alicia. And not all species have that. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a cat and you hold your cat up to the mirror. I know some people's cats recognize themselves. I've never had one that did. They just like, they do one of these. And I'm like, no, that's you. And they're like, they won't even like look at the mirror, even Pip, and who's a pretty conscious cat. So there are other species that know that they have an individual sense. And dolphins are one of them, bonobos, and there's a few more that they have determined, that the humans have determined. And it was just filled with all of these studies. And it was so interesting to me as I'm reading them. And there's this place where I'm like, well, finally, right? Because a lot of this, one, scientifically, I already knew, even though there weren't studies, and intuitively, right? Because I do talk to animals, like I know what they're thinking and what they're capable of and how high their intelligence actually is. And so it was nice to see sort of the 3D world start to catch up a little bit. And it was so interesting in all of these articles to see how the different points of view and how there's humans still arguing that, no, these animals aren't as smart as us. And I thought to myself, who gets to decide what's intelligence, right? Because like I said, if other species were to look at humans and some of the things that we do, like we literally destroy the space that we live in, like we destroy our own water, and our own air. Other species don't do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, who gets to decide what intelligence is? It's kind of like who gets to decide what professional is, who gets to decide what anything is. So I loved, having this magazine and reading it. And at the same time, that thought just never left. I was like, who are we to determine that, animals aren't as smart as us? And who are we to determine what smart actually is? Like, right, there's all these detailed questions in it. It's like, well, if you're going to say that intelligence is based on the ability to use tools, well, that's some of the species, and some of the species don't have, the body parts, right? We always talk about the opposable thumbs to use tools, but they find other ways to make things in their life. You know what I mean? It's like, so if a creature learns how to do something else and adapts, Is that not intelligent? So it's just, and now you get to see what it looks like inside my brain. Sorry if you didn't feel like going there this evening. That's where we are. That's where you get the analytical and the intuitive part of what it looks like inside there, because it's like, who decides who? Because I guarantee you there's some animals out there who are going, look what the humans are doing today. And for those of you that believe in, other life forms, aliens or anything like that, I guarantee you we are not at the top of that scale. We are not even close. I love that meme that I saw on Facebook. It came out during COVID, where it was basically, it was like two aliens going by in a spaceship, and when they go by Earth, they lock their doors. Right, like they're in a bad neighborhood. They're like, oh no, we're going by Earth, make sure you lock your spaceship doors. I cracked up with that. That's not everybody's sense of humor, I'm sure, but as an intuitive biologist, that's pretty much right up my alley. So like I said, who gets to decide what anything is? And if you're living authentically you, that's the most important part, right? That's the part that's going to bring you joy and peace and happiness and heal things in your life. And creating from that place is going to make your dreams come true. So I'm off my soapbox now about animals and humans. So thank you for joining me and all of that. And here's the thing, when it comes to my videos, the content is what's important. I do my best to make them pretty, but if that doesn't work for you, like I know someone, she listens to them. So all that matters for me is, are you getting the content? Are you absorbing it? Like that's the key. That is my intent behind creating these things. So that is all for this Monday evening. My brain literally won't stop thinking about the magazine now, because I'm like, oh, there was this part. And so maybe we'll do some Monday night. We'll talk more about that. I know there's some of you who have said you would love to hear more of my animal stories, right? My biologist stories. And I would love to do that. I think one of the things that would be really helpful for that, though, is for me to have pictures, because it's really kind of hard to explain to people what some of this looks like if they've never have any idea of what a wildlife biologist did. And unfortunately, all of my pictures are in storage. So all of my photo albums and all that kind of stuff, and they're not near the front of the storage unit because they're not things I need every day. So they're really in the far back. So it's on the list when someday I can get access to my pictures, because I think it'll bring more, be like, here's an elephant, here's me with an elephant. It has a very different experience for you guys in this kind of video, an event sort of thing. So I have heard your requests and those will happen. And as always, like if there's anything you want to hear me talk about, shoot me an email, message me on Facebook or Messenger, however, and let me know. So that is all for this Monday evening. Time goes by so fast. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I had a blast. Please join me again next Monday. And if this resonated with you and there are people that you want to share this video with, it will be uploaded to the YouTube channel this evening. YouTube channel is under Alicia Sweezer, my regular name. And all of what I'm about to talk about, all of these links are in the event listing or in the meetup listing. So the YouTube one is there. If you like this kind of stuff, sign up for my blog, because I talk about these kind of concepts in there as well. And if you're not already part of the meetup, join the meetup too. So, and as always, thank you to everyone who donates and has donated to my cosmic tip jar. Besides the practice I get receiving, it allows me to create more free things like this. If anyone feels led to do so, the PayPal link is in the event info. And as always, if anything I talked about tonight makes you want to learn more, reach out, book a session, schedule a discovery call, and I still have spots open in the brand new amazing coaching program, right? We've talked about that. And thank you for the feedback that it was a great session. I love that you guys show up for this. I love being able to do this. So thank you all so much for contributing in the way that you do. And I'll see you next Monday. Everyone have a great week. I know there's a lot of crazy energy out there right now, and some of you have been helping me with that. I have some a great friend who is amazing in astrology, and she's like is this what's happening? And I'm like, oh my God, how did you know? So I suck at astrology. You guys have heard me say that. And so I love that I have other people who can contribute to me in that way. So there's a lot going on in the world right now, and use your tools and teach your friends your tools, because sometimes when you're in it, you don't remember your tools, but your friends can remind you of them. Particularly that return to sender, right? When we suck stuff in and we want to send it back. Okay, I'm done. I'm just enjoying this so much. I love seeing you guys. I will see you next Monday. Everybody have a great week.